Chen and Burroughs define priming as the incidental activation of knowledge structures by the current situational context. It carries over for a time to exert an unintended passive influence on the interpretation of a behavior.
In layman's terms, priming is cognitive processing that falls outside of our cognitive awareness.
Research has shown that priming activates cognitive processes in areas specific but not limited to motor programming, cerebral and sensory processing.
What's interesting is that patients with severe amnesia who do not remember participating in a study still fall subject to the effects of priming, much to the extent as someone who has their full memory intact.
This happens because priming lies outside of the realm of explicit memory. In this video, we'll show you examples of phonemic word sounds, such as rhyming, whereas semantic priming relies on attributing meaning to a word.
When does unconsciousness end and consciousness begin?
And how does priming affect our intentional or unintentional behavior?
When do perceptions and behaviors stop being under our control?
Welcome to the world of priming.
Please repeat the word silk 7 times.
Silk, 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 silk.
Now, what do cows drink?
Milk.
Oh, really? I thought they drank water.
Oh, water.
And what do cows drink?
Milk.
Cows drink water.
Okay. You didn't record it, did you?
Now, what do cows drink?
Milk.
Cows drink water.
Drink milk. Oh. Wow.
All right, and what do cows drink?
Milk.
Cows drink water.
Water.
So what just happened there? Actually, we primed our subjects to rhyme over reason. You remember that study that Dr. Roberts told us about, the Tolving and Craig study? Well, Tolving and Craig had people rate words based on structure, such as is it all in caps or is it all lowercase? Phonemically, which do these words rhyme, or semantically, are these words the same? Do they mean the same thing? And what they found was that they could rate the words faster structurally, then it went to phonemic, and then lastly, the slowest, they could rate the word semantically. But what they found was that in recall, they could remember the words that they placed meaning with. Why is this relevant? It was because when we just prime those people to rhyme rather than reason, is that we got their phonemic response, which is obviously faster than the semantic response. If they had just taken a few seconds longer, then they would have been able to say, whoa, milk? Cows don't drink milk. They drink water. But their phonemic response happened just like that, because that was the process that triggered. You're probably thinking, well, is any of this even legit? Well, actually, research by Gruber and Mueller found that during priming, the brain, specifically the unconscious part, is actually using a neuronal mechanism that is allowing us to create and encode a unique pattern in response to the word repetition. So it's actually creating unconscious memories. Pretty cool.
Here we have a warm drink and a cold drink. You'd never think that these two beverages could have any effect on our perception of people, but a study at Yale University found that the temperature of either a warm beverage or a cold beverage can drastically alter our judgments of people we just met. Those who experienced the tactile sensation of a warm drink were much more likely to say that the confederate, who was neutral in behavior, was genuinely friendly, nice, polite, someone who they would strongly consider hiring for a leadership position. Those who handled the cold drinks were much less likely to rely on their initial impressions of someone they just met, and less likely to act on their snap decisions. It's scary to think that our judgments could hang in the balance of something as inconsequential as a drink. Although we may find the results of the study to be rather disturbing, this happens a lot more often than we think, with the simulation of our pre-programmed stereotypes.
The formation of a stereotype comes by any other process, such as rehearsal or consistent use. It's the way you learn about anything. A stereotype is nothing more than an automatic perceptual pathway that develops in the brain. This pathway links distinguishing physical characteristics with typical personality traits of a specific subgroup. Once ingrained, stereotypes become a reflex to the presence of those physical features. The perceiver is unaware of the acting stereotype's presence and its effect on the perception of a stranger. Psychologists Chen and Barge said that an important part of our social schema is to fill in the missing information in order to generate experiences or expectancies about what is going to happen next. A common stereotype we have is old people. A study in Blink used a semantic prime on students with words associated with old age. Chen and Barge had students assemble sentences from jumbled words, and within these jumbled words were primes that unconsciously activated the student's stereotype of old people. They used words such as wrinkle, lonely, Florida, and bingo. They were all included in the priming technique. There were no mention of prime words involving physical slowness or weakness, yet passively activating the elderly stereotype resulted in significantly slower walking speeds in the prime of the group of students. The results suggested that exposing individuals to a series of words linked to a specific stereotype influenced behavior non-consciously. Participants subsequently acted in ways consistent with the activated stereotype, even though they were not directly primed with words relating to slowness or time or speed. Priming causes automatic activation of the stereotype, which heightens the accessibility of stereotype-related traits such as walking slower. The fact that these traits are in our forefront of our mind causes us to act unconsciously. The activation of a stereotype in one context resulted in the associated behavior in subsequent unrelated contexts. So, priming doesn't stop at changing the way you think. It goes as far to change the way you behave.
Through this experiment, we can see how priming affects our behavior. We had them form sentences out of words like
Independent, wealth,
goals,
superpower,
and success.
These words prime their behavior to think about themselves and their goals. Not one stopped to help Nina pick up her books.
Experiment over there. Thank you. You'll see it.
According to Blink, priming is not brainwashing. I didn't brainwash this participant to drop Nina's books. That was just for fun. Let's watch again. When the prime words changed to community, lend, serve, or nourish, the behavior changed as well. The new participants helped Nina with her book.
You'll see a booth when you get around the corner. Okay? Thank you. You'll see a booth, okay?
Okay.
It'll be clearly marked.
The effect of priming is largely attributed to the prefrontal cortex, specifically the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, which unconsciously prioritizes incoming information and sends us mental cues to very important parts of our brain, such as the amygdala, sensory motor strip, and the hippocampus. So this tiny part of our brain is connected to a lot of areas in our mind that we use to consciously function in our everyday lives.
The principle of ideomotor action states that just thinking about a behavior increases our tendency to engage in that behavior. That's because thoughts that are in the forefront of our mind are more accessible and therefore easier to incorporate into our physical behavior.
Priming is a sneaky process that affects our lives in a dramatic way.
So let's just say you should be careful with who's messing with your mind.
You may not be doing things for the reasons that you think you are. Priming is a phenomenon. Phenomenon.
Please say the word silk 7 times.
Silk, 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 silk.
And what do cows drink?
Milk.
Oh, really?
Oh.